Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's Saturday. It's Shabbat, or the Sabbath. We've been going through some powerful energies, right? Depending on where you're at in the world, either winter or summer solstice. We just had the eclipse. I feel like this past couple weeks has been very busy for everybody. That's what I'm experiencing myself and witnessing in others. Very busy. Very busy. And I think that we're all doing a great job keeping up. So while you guys are tuning in, I'm just going to shuffle you into the deck here. And while we're waiting, go ahead and just to let you know, you're swaying in a tree right now. My camera is set up in a tree. It's blowing in the wind. So go ahead and just think about what's going on inside, in your mind, in your heart. What thoughts are repeating? What is something you've been holding on to today, this week, this month, maybe many months? And just set it aside just for this moment, just for this activation. You are welcome to allow those cyclical thoughts and feelings back in just as soon as this is over. Because if you can't set that stuff down just for this moment, you cannot open up to receive the wisdom that wants to come in. So just for this moment, set it down, and then you're welcome to, if you want to, at the end of this activation, welcome it back in to your mind and to your heart. But for now, let's just meet in the infinite, expansive space of the heart. We don't need to create a space. Space already exists infinitely. So let's tune into that space that's already there. That space, which is the place where we unite, where we begin and end life, the stillness of the infinite expansiveness of the heart. Just meet me there. Go ahead and do whatever you need to do to connect to the deck, connect to me in this space. You can pretend you're sitting here with me. You can see a thread of light connecting from your inner eye or your heart, and then that thread of light coming from that space to the deck. You know, however you want to do it, use your imagination. Just see and feel yourself here with me and with all the other beings tuning in right now. Know that each person who's tuning in for this activation is helping to open up the portal and widen that space. And even after this video is over and it travels around the world and people tune in, they too are adding to that portal of magic. If you have a favorite group where there are other fantastic beings like you who are interested in opening up this activation portal with us, go ahead and share it now so they can tune in live and be here with us, bringing their unique magic and presence to this activation. Thank you for doing that. So where are we at? This is the first quarter moon, and the moon, this video is not really, it doesn't have anything to do with the moon. For those of you who've never tuned into these activations before, they happen every week. They've been ongoing for a few years now. The moon is used as a measure of time. It's the easiest way for us to unite in these 4 quarters every monthly cycle. But the moon's light is not her own. She reflects the light of the sun, who reflects the light of the one, which is the light within and back of all things. So first quarter is just saying we're 1 week into a new cycle. The past few weeks have been super powerful. So what is this going to show us? What is this activation going to show us? What have we experienced this past week since the last message? How can we refine our process right now to move forward with the most grace and ease, individually and collectively? How can we eliminate those extraneous thoughts that don't even matter, that don't really serve us in moving ahead? How can we sharpen our focus and make sure that we are directing our energies into the proper channels for the highest good of ourselves and each other as one? Where are we at? All right, you're connected to the deck. We're here together and we're ready for some guidance. Thank you, archetypes, faces of the one, which are one with each one of us. Thank you in advance for showing us the way. I have pulled 3 cards. I pulled 1 to show us something that we're leaving behind. Something that we're ready to acknowledge, hey, we did that. We succeeded in that last cycle and we're ready to let that go. And that is going to help us take our energy back to then move into the rest of the reading, which is going to show us what is our biggest challenge right now and what's our ally. So let's start with the past. What are we ready to acknowledge? Like, hey, we did a good job, and ready to pull back our energy to use for our next challenge. What is that? A 10 of swords. Ending and new beginning. 10s are endings and new beginnings. While 9s are endings, 10 is also the potential of the new beginning. And it's swords, so it's challenge. This is the Lord of Ruin. A lot of people see this card and they're like, ah! It's a dead guy on the floor. But it's really showing the end of a challenge. Making it through a challenge. I think the last couple of weeks were very similar in their message of sort of what this challenge was, which was coming to the knowing that kindness is more important than being right. That was a major theme, not just last week, but the week before. And even the week before that, we've been going through that lesson of kindness is more important than being right. And I think we've come to this place now where, yeah, we are only at the beginning. There are many challenges still on their way. This is only the beginning of the end. And then begin again, right? So this is the beginning of an end of the old paradigm. But I think that we really have come to a place where we're ready to actually make things happen, where we're ready to accept the work. Yes, accept that challenges are coming, but we're willing to put our best foot forward. We feel a little clearer. We feel that we're able to take back our power, our energy, our sovereignty in mind, in heart, and do what we need to do to actually see progress. Yes, we know it's not going to be immediate, but we're ready. And I can feel this stillness in the collective consciousness where, again, this is only the beginning, but we have just gone through a big stage of chaos globally. And it's not over, and it's still going on, of course, but there was a peak. Things were getting really wild and out of control, and what I see for the collective right now is that we're finally saying, okay, I accept this. I understand that the chaos is there, and we have to deal with it. But now I feel a little more empowered. Now I feel a little more ready. It's like the initial shock is over. And it's not over. We're in it, you know, we're still in the process, but the initial shock of like, whoa, this is really happening. This global chaos is really happening. That's kind of dissipating, and we're adapting because we can't help but do that. That's what we do. We adapt. This is what sets us apart from the other kingdoms. We've evolved into the human kingdom, you know, out of the mineral, plants, animals to the human, because we have this ability to adapt in ways that these other kingdoms cannot. We have the ability to adapt. So yes, it's only the beginning. Yes, things are still going to be crazy. And we still have a lot of work to do, but the initial shock is over and we're a little more prepared now. We get it. We're ready to face it. We're ready to stop being so shocked and stunned in fear because of all the chaos ensuing globally. We're ready to get down to business. We're saying, all right, I can't just sit here paralyzed in fear, shocked at what's going on. I still have to take action. I still have to be ready. I still have work to do. So that's just what we're leaving behind now. We're leaving behind this shock, this leaking our energy, wasting it on just being paralyzed in fear. And we're saying, all right, I'm rolling up my sleeves. I'm ready to do the damn thing, right? Let's move on to the current challenge. Awesome. This is the star. I drew on it quite a bit, so you may not recognize the image. It's a little bit different. I colored that in there. I just colored that in, actually, the star on the top to further denote the duality of truth, because the star card is all about truth being dual. We have the truth of reality and the truth of appearances. And we need to consider both to come to that level of circumspection, which allows us to really see the full truth. So this is our current challenge, and it's a major arcanum card, which means it's one of the most powerful cards of the deck. The star comes right after the tower. And the progression, the sequence, it's a story. It's an unfolding. So if you look to the cards before and after, you'll really get a clearer definition of the one we're actually looking at. The one right before the star is the tower. That's 16. Then we have 17, the star, and then we have the moon. So let's talk about the star. Let's talk about the tower and the moon, so that we can clearly understand where we're at right now. The tower is where everything falls, right? That's right before the star. The tower is where all that does not serve and all that is not truly sustainable falls away. And whether or not we recognize it, we're conscious of it in this body and on this plane, in the higher realms, we're very aware of what's going on. There's only one here, and that higher aspect of ourself, when we are not capable, is the one who tears it all down. When we cannot listen to our intuition, when we're denying our intuition, that light manifests seemingly outside of ourselves to destroy that which is not serving, because we couldn't do it on our own. But there is no other. There's only one, right? So it's some higher aspect of ourself then that is doing it. So we can either consciously participate in that process of pulling the rug out from under ourselves, or we can just sit here like a victim and say, woe is me, everything is falling apart. Either way, it's falling apart. And when everything falls and crashes and burns, all that wasn't serving anyway, all that's left is the star of hope inside, the truth. That can never be burned down, that can never be dismantled, that can never crash like that tower. The light is eternal, and that's why it's the light of hope, because it's indestructible. So when everything else falls away, where do you turn? Within, to the light inside. So again, that tower that just fell or is currently falling, the old system, the old paradigm, we're all either, we're all responding in different ways. We're either like, oh no, this is terrible, or wow, yeah, it's about time, or some people just paralyzed in fear, right? And not even knowing how to respond. There's all different kinds of responses right now, depending on where we're at with our level of awareness, with our spiritual growth. But it's time to recognize that the only things that ever can be destroyed, that will ever fall, are those things that are not sustainable, that do not have their roots in the spiritual realm, that do not have a proper foundation in truth. Right? So it falls away, and then we return to the star of hope inside. The star, it's all about seeing your own reflection. See, she's pouring water. She's pouring some water into the water and some water onto the land. This is recognizing that we must nurture both our emotional nature, our feminine, intuitive nature, but also our rational, logical, masculine nature. We have to nurture both. We can't have one without the other. To come to that full picture of truth, we cannot deny the inside or the out, the inner or the outer worlds, the masculine or the feminine nature. To deny either would be to deny a part of our own self. We must include both worlds as one. And so we're coming to this place of truth after everything falls away. And if this is our challenge, what I'm seeing right now is challenge equals chariot, right? The challenge always leads to the gift when you face it correctly, when you choose to respond to the challenge in a way that allows for that shift to take place. So this being our challenge is telling me that, okay, yeah, the tower fell. Stop being paralyzed in fear. The worst is over. There's still a lot to come. There's still challenges. Life is eternally this up and down, right? It's this roller coaster, this endless roller coaster. So there's always going to be that. But the hardest part is over, meaning the initial shock and the chaos. We're like, okay, we're in it. We understand it's here to stay. It's up to us to get through it. So we get that. The tower is falling. Okay. But the real focus should be on how are we going to rebuild from this place of truth? And before rewriting the blueprint, before moving ahead into the future, how can we sit in this space of reflecting upon the truth of who we really are so that we can become so familiar with that truth, so that we can become so grateful for that truth, so that we can, as deeply as possible, honor that truth within ourselves and within each other, before rushing ahead to make some sort of a foundation for the future that's just going to fall again. We can stay here as long as we need to, individually and collectively. This space is being in that meditative place of knowing of the truth of who we really are, again, individually and collectively. This is a safe space. It's a space of meditation, of stillness, of quiet, escape from the chaos, of the noise of the outside world. This place within you, it's always there. This light within, it's always there. So even when you re-enter the world of appearances, which, by the way, is the next card, 18, the moon, even when we enter that world of deception, we'll be able to remember the light inside and the truth of who we really are. Despite the deceptions, despite the illusions, because we'll have done our work in this part, in the initiation of the star. So let's not rush ahead. Let's fully sit with this initiation. Okay, because this is the challenge. This is where we're at right now. Let's fully sit with it and be sure that we reach the level of initiation that allows us to never forget this truth. So that when we re-enter the world, when we come out of this meditation of our truth, the truth of who we are, we will be so rooted in this truth that we will live from the inside out and not the other way around. Because it's in this way that we will create a sustainable future for ourselves and for the generations to come. We will be acting from a space of timeless truth and wisdom. This system is unfailing. However, when we forget about this truth and we live opposite from the outside in, there's no stability to our plans, to our strategy. So we must fully access the initiation that comes with the star. We must fully come to remember the truth of who we are and be so deeply connected and rooted to that truth that when we do re-enter the world, we do not forget that we're moving from this place, that this is what's real, that this is what's true. So we need to be prepared, because when we re-enter the world after coming out of this beautiful meditation of our truth and who we are, there's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of delusion. There's a lot of deception, darkness, a lot of paradox that will be confusing, that will try to tell us we are not this, that we are not this truth. There will be so much opposing this truth. So again, we have to stay here with this challenge until we are so sure of who we are that no paradox, no deception, no trickery will pull us from our center, will throw us off center, will get us out of that space and back into separateness consciousness. We don't want that. So let's think ahead. What comes after the star? That moon, deception, the world of appearances, darkness, illusions. See that. And I'm not saying project fear, but be realistic, right? Because the truth is dual. We can't deny the inside or the outside, the intuition or the logic. So let's be logical and use that to our advantage. Use that for the sake of the one, right? And let's project ourselves into the future and say, okay, after I come out of this meditation, meditating on my truth, what kind of deception might I face? What kind of deception have I faced in the past? And how will I be able to face that better now? How can I prepare so deeply now for these deceptions? Sending fortification and protection into the future of this inevitable opposition, right, of the truth. Preparing so that by the time I get to that deception, I'm going to say, oh yeah, I knew this was coming, and it's fine. And I'm going to move through this shit so quickly and so gracefully because I expected it. Not in a way that I expected it, so I created, an abundance of it, but I'm just aware that there's the duality, there's the darkness and the light. And so I'm not going to sit there, lamenting over it and, like I said, expecting it, but just knowing that it's out there. So by the time you reach that deception, you'll recognize it. You'll remember the truth of who you really are, and you'll say, aha, this is a test for me to show how much I've been able to integrate this truth of who I really am. So like the sage or the hermit, as you may know him as, he has the lantern with the star inside. This is the star he's talking about. The star in the hermit's lantern is the light of hope within himself. That's the light that leads the way. So if we always remember that, then like I said, when we face the darkness, when we face the deception, the pain, the suffering, we'll say, oh, this is the time for me to shine my light. Not when it's easy, when it's difficult. That's when the transmutation happens. That's when the real alchemy happens. That's what we're preparing ourselves for. So don't deny the darkness, but welcome it as a time to really shine your light. So right now we're here, okay? There's a moment of peace where we're taking a breather before the next challenge because it's still coming. This is only the beginning, you guys, but we're ready, we're prepared. So we're taking a breather and we're being given this opportunity to really sit with the truth of who we are, go within, meditate, see our own reflection, fortify, reinforce our truth so that by the time the next challenge comes, big or small, we will remember what it is for us to shine our light right into the face of it. I love that. So far we have a 10 of Swords, the Lord of Ruin, super powerful. The Star, a major arcanum card, again, super powerful. Let's see what the final card is here. This is going to be our ally as we move through the challenge of the Star. And a 5 of Swords. We have the 10 of Swords, now we have the 5 of Swords. This is awesome. Very clear message coming through. I'm just going to show you guys what it looks like. The 5 of Swords is all about defeat. We don't know if this guy won or not, but he's looking back at his opponent walking away, and he sees the swords on the floor. He's collecting them. He's just recollecting his energy to move ahead. How slow is he doing it? How fast is he doing it? It's up to him. How much can he take back his power? How quickly can he take back his power? Stop sitting there sulking over what he's lost, what he has not gained. And start thinking about what he has gained and what he still has left. Last week we had a similar card, but it was Cups. And it was about disappointment and, crying over the pain rather than seeing the opportunity still standing. Well, we're seeing here sort of a similarity, but this is more in regards to the energy we have for fighting, for persevering, for moving through the challenges, because this is swords. So while last week it was a little more disappointment of, the heart and emotions, relationships, whatever, this week it's more about our truth, standing for that. Taking back our power, picking the pieces back up, not wasting our energy on being disappointed about what we've lost up until now, or all the pain and suffering that we've caused each other for lifetimes. It's about recognizing we all have the same one ancestor. Picking the pieces back up and moving ahead. Your loss is my loss. Your win is my win. There's a famous quote that's saying, like, if oppression is happening somewhere, it's happening everywhere. And it's true, because we are all one in this experience. So we don't need to see it as so separate, like, oh, I lost this battle, or he or she lost this battle, or they won that battle. There's only one here. We are one. We won. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter who won or who lost this battle or that up until now. This is our fight. And it will also be our win, but it's up to us to unite and see things in this way rather than see it as separate. See us as separate from each other. It really doesn't matter how much you or we collectively have lost or have suffered. Now it's about collecting the energy that we do have, tapping into that infinite source that's always available to us. Uniting in our power, because we're stronger this way. This is why inclusiveness is a virtue. Uniting under one ideal, one goal, and moving ahead. When we recognize that we're all one, we don't need to sit there thinking, oh, wow, I lost that battle. Or I feel defeated. I lost to this person or to that person. There's no one to lose to but yourself. And in each moment, you have the opportunity to pick yourself back up, to stand up and keep going. So it's about perseverance. And this ally is telling us the best way to really persevere, not just to get back up, but to get back up and to give it our best shot. The only way to do that right now is to recognize our unity. There's no one to fight. The only thing to conquer is our lower self. This is the best way that we can recollect our energies and move ahead. Move ahead with our best foot forward. Move ahead without leaking energy, without wasting thoughts on what we've lost or how we've suffered. The best way to move ahead is to see that we have the chance to keep on going. We're not defeated. This is not the end. It's only the beginning. Okay, so we have this chance as we move through this challenge of the star, coming back to the truth of who we are inside, meditating on that. This is our ally, saying, no rush, don't worry. We're all in it together. Do what you need to do to strengthen your roots to the truth of who you are inside. And when you're ready, no rush, come on out and pick the pieces back up together with me. Let's do this together. We will have the chance to keep going. We will have the chance to make it right. We have the chance to make it right in each moment. So you don't need to rush through this process of connecting to that star inside. That's all that it was ever and will ever be about. That light of that star of hope inside, truth. That's all this is ever about. So take all the time you need to process so that you can fully, truly be able to let go of the pain of the past, take back your power so that we can be here, fully present, together as one, with our greatest power as a collective unit. to move forward. Because if any one of us is leaving behind some of our energy here or there, worrying in the background about what's already happened or the pain or whatever, we're not going to be as powerful as we would be if we all showed up presently, ready to move ahead. So how can we encourage each other to do this as we each move through this process of coming back to that star of truth inside? How can we also be a reflection of inspiration for others to do this? How can we have compassion to recognize it's not just us we're going through this alone, we're all going through this together. And remember, without being right, just being kind, how can we hold space for each other to go through this so that we can, as best as possible, return to the truth, truly accepting and letting go of all that's happened so far, knowing that we always have that chance to make things right, pick the pieces back up, and redirect our energies towards success. So again, the hardest part is over, all right? The shock, the initial shock of the chaos. Come on, we expected this, we created this, we did this. It's time for change. So yeah, the tower's gotta fall for a new one to be built. Okay, we're adapting to these crazy times now. We're done with saying, oh my goodness, the world is crazy, there's so much happening, it's crazy. We're getting tired of hearing ourselves saying that. We're like, okay, it's crazy, yeah. We did this. We're ready for the new. So of course, this is a part of it. And I'm adapting to the craziness because that's my badass power. That's our power. Adaptation. This is truly our highest power. It's what allows us to evolve and grow individually and together as one. Okay, so we're over the shock. What do we do now? We focus on our truth. We return to the light inside. We remember the only thing that's indestructible and eternal is the light, life, truth. We honor this. We are grateful for this eternal truth that lives within our hearts. And we are connecting to it so deeply right now so that when we re-enter the chaos of the world, we're prepared for anything to come, and we're ready to shine our light right into the center of it. We're ready to move ahead and make things right. We may be disappointed with ourselves, with each other, but hey, we're in this together, and we recognize that now. And that's all it takes for us to gather our thoughts, gather our energy, and move ahead towards success. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm gonna sit here with this for a little bit in the beautiful nature of Sedona, Arizona. I'm sitting under a tree right now, surrounded by the desert and the cacti. And I would love to hear what you guys think of this activation, and please feel free to share it with your friends and family and people who you think will add some magic to this activation portal. Who do you think could benefit from hearing this message? Reach out and share it. And thank you in advance. Every Wednesday, we meet on Zoom for a class, and it's about the occult symbolism of the tarot. And we're moving through the trump cards right now, so the next class will be on Wednesday. That's in just a few days from now. 4 days from now, actually. And we're going to be doing the Emperor. So if you missed the first classes, they are all recorded, and so let me know, and I can send you a link to the Google Drive folder where they're privately stored. And you can catch up if you'd like, or you can just join in on Wednesday. You can join in live, you can have your camera and or your microphone off. It's totally up to you, but we love participation, we love sharing. So let me know if you're interested in that class. If you're not a part of my private groups yet on Facebook, I've got 2 of them. There's the one called the Royal Path, and there's one called Shabbat Crew. In Shabbat Crew, I share mostly about Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah. And in the Royal Path, it's more so about the tarot, because tarot in ancient Egypt is the royal path. Tarot means royal path. So it's about walking that royal path. The tarot is so much more than a deck of cards. It's a story that lives within your DNA. It lives within the creation pattern that is at the foundation of all of life. If you want to know more about that, this is my book. It's called The Royal Path, Activating the Archetypal Alliance Within. You can find it on Amazon. And this is for anybody. Again, if you've never studied tarot before, I wrote this book for you so that you could understand how to connect to these characters that live within you so that they can help guide you through your every experience, positive or negative experiences. All they do is help to refine your process, to empower you to choose the right archetypal response to whatever it is you're going through. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this activation and adding to the magic. I look forward to seeing you guys next week for the full moon activation. And again, for those of you guys just tuning in, these videos don't have anything to do with the moon other than we use the moon as a measurement of time. So next week for the full moon activation, it's going to be all about what has come into the light. And how can we begin to integrate that? If you guys also don't know, I have a YouTube channel, and it's very easy to find. Just go to youtube.com/RebeccaMagic, magic with a CK, and hit subscribe. That way you don't forget about these weekly activations. You'll get a little notification. Also, sometimes, Facebook gets a little wonky, and you might not be able to find me on here, or I might get blocked. But YouTube is a nice backup plan to make sure we stay connected. Thank you guys again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And Shabbat Shalom.